Got any sense?
Go fish.
Damn it!
Aloha.
Greetings, Internet dinosaurs. I'm sci-fi.
I'm Paul,
I'm Josh, and we are...
Gassed Up Geeks. For those of you just joining us, which you would be just joining us because this is our first episode, three of us have sat around for years, getting together, laughing, joking, and of course, drinking.
Prolifically.
Heavily.
Monumentally?
Continuously. Yeah, no, he's right about mentally, because usually if we're not drinking, we're thinking about it. So, but during these little adventures at the pubs, we realized that we always end up talking about geeky stuff, and we decided, you know what, let's start filming it, because we have a lot of fun, because we're all incredibly weird. Mainly me.
I'm the sane one.
That's not saying much.
Not a whole lot. But so we decided, we talk about all different kinds of things, books, movies, and stuff like that, and many, many others, and so we decided, let's start filming it. So, here we are, and today we're going to talk about the longest-running science fiction program of all time, Doctor Who. I am obsessed with Doctor Who. I have been. I came to Canada when I was 5 years old. It was on PBS, and I watched it, and I loved it. When did you start watching Doctor Who?
Oh, probably about 2 years after the 2005 started. Heard a bit about it, and I was like, might get into it, watch a couple episodes, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm a Whovian, and that's where it is.
You?
Let's see, what's today?
Nobody told me I had to look at a calendar!
Yes, for those watching out there on the interwebs, I am a Nuvian.
Yes. Now, Doctor Who started in 1963, and it ended in 1989. There was a 1995 made-for-TV movie, which was tried to be a backdoor pilot, but then it relaunched again in 2005. Fans have broken that up into two different ways. The original series, that ended in 1989, that's referred to as Old Who, and then the relaunch in 2005 is New Who. We're mainly going to be discussing New Who. But before we do, I'm a fan of Old Who. Like I said, I've been a fan of it since I was a kid. Doctor Who started in 1963 and was originally created to be a television program for kids. They were going to take the character of the Doctor and some companions, travel around in time and space, and they were going to visit different historical places and times, meet Marco Polo, meet Genghis Khan, things like that. And as a result, kids would learn about history in a very fun and entertaining way. However, it ran into a few snags. First of all, John F. Kennedy got assassinated, and the ratings sucked. And the producer and showrunner, a woman by the name of Verity Lambert, she actually begged Sidney Newman, who was in charge of BBC educational programming at the time, please, 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 give it another shot. And so she did. And so he did.
I'll drink to that.
Cheers. Thank you. So he said yes, and they relaunched it again. And this time the ratings were up. Sydney was a good guy, and a Toronto-born guy. Verity, she was a smart woman. She took the bus to work because she could hear people on the bus talking about what they saw on TV last night.
Oh.
And she heard some murmurings and all that stuff, and they were still thinking about canceling it. She's like, well, we filmed this many episodes so far. Just run it out.
Give it another go.
Right. Because back then, it was, the first episode of Doctor Who was called The Unearthly Child. But they did a half-hour program, part 1. Next week, An Unearthly Child, part 2, continuing the story. A serialized way of doing it. The second episode, after Unearthly Child, the Daleks, who have gone on to become the most famous Doctor Who enemy of all time. And like I said, Verity would take the bus into work, and she's sitting there, and she's listening to people talk, and there's a bunch of kids on the bus, and they're going, exterminate! Exterminate! The kids Loved the show.
Now, by today's standards, the Daleks are pussies. Back then.
Back then, they were actually an allegory for the Nazis. So, when they found out that the kids were doing that, and adults were getting into the show as well, they kept it going and didn't cancel it.
Good way to gauge fan reaction.
Exactly. Best way to get fan reaction is to be with the fans. Executives, we'll talk about this in another show, sometimes stick their noses in and just give up.
Studios.
Yeah. Well, you look at the climate. A lot of shows that have low ratings, they get canceled right away. Some shows back in the 80s that had the same ratings were like, just let it finish at the season. And then the show got popular. So giving it that time is a big thing.
Yeah.
But, again, that's the history of Doctor Who, and that's what launched it. So the first question is, who is the Doctor?
Doctor Who?
Huh?
Do they ever actually even say his name on air?
No. The Doctor at one point has said that we don't have the right tongue to pronounce the syllables.
Okay.
And that's one of the big secrets. And in later episodes, the whole name of the Doctor became part of a story arc for the whole season.
Yeah. Season 7 predominantly, if I remember right.
Yeah. The first Doctor was played by William Hartnell. And he had his granddaughter and her 2 school teachers as companions. They went through their adventures through time and space, but back then they basically filmed live and recorded it at the same time. So when you're watching it live. And William Hartnell, who is well in his 50s, and again, this is over 50 years ago, so 50 back then and 50 now, 2 totally different things. He started having problems with his lines. He would forget lines, and so the other actors would be like, well, the sky's gone purple, Doctor, what does that mean? And that would trigger him to start saying his lines. But they realized, he'd been doing it for a few years now. The show was popular. They didn't want to end it. But, unfortunately, he was too old for the part. So, at one point, one of the producers said, we've established that the Doctor's an alien. Well, what about if his race, if they get injured, their molecules rearrange themselves to heal the wounds. But as a result, he looks totally different. And they're like, go with it! So they did. William Hartnell retired, and in came Patrick Troughton. And he played it his own way. The original Doctor was a bit of a grumpy, cantankerous alien who had very little patience for those humans that were stuck with him. The term used most often for the second Doctor was cosmic hobo. He wore tartan pants, which were stylish back then, a bowler bow tie, a frumpy frock coat. He looked a bit of a mess. And he always played a recorder. And he played a lot of verbal tricks and side talks with the enemies, so they think he was a bumbling idiot when really he was up to no good and ended up getting everything fixed. And then Patrick Troughton decided, no more. And so in came John Pertwee and many, many more. Now, William Hartnell was the first, Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann, Christopher Eccleston, David Tennant, Matt Smith. They surprised us with John Hurt, which is part of a storyline we'll talk about another time. Now Peter Capaldi, and here's we record, Jodie Whittaker has been announced as the first female Doctor. They always say, who's your first Doctor? You'd never forget your first Doctor. You always love your first Doctor. For me, John Pertwee, number 3. He was a guy who had this ruffled shirt. He wore a smoking jacket, and he decided the other 2 guys were just, bumbled along or got involved. No, he wanted the Doctor to be a little just as intelligent, but this is when James Bond movies were kicking around. So he wanted a man of action as well, and he practiced Venusian Aikido. Ooh. So for me, Pertwee was my first Doctor. I've loved other Doctors. Tom Baker, the 4th one, just as great. But you guys are basically New Who. So who's your favorite Doctor and why?
Well, I actually have to disagree with you a little bit. Being New Who mostly, my first Doctor was Christopher Eccleston, but I have to say my favorite on them has to be David Tennant. right from the first time he showed up on the screen, it almost felt like hand in glove. Like he was absolutely perfect for the role.
You're not alone in that thinking. They used to always like run polls, who's the best doctor, who's the best doctor. Tom Baker, who ran it for like 7 years, I think he ran it from like 78 to 85. Sig, fix that. He was always voted most popular. When David Tennant took over the role, Tom Baker admitted to watching and said, I quite like the little fellow, he's quite good. David Tennant actually started beating Tom Baker in the polls for best doctor of all time.
Nice.
So, David Tennant, great choice. A lot of people loved him.
Have any of the doctors since really beat Tennant all that much?
When they thought about David Tennant leaving, when he announced he was leaving, they thought about canceling the show. They thought, well, who's going to meet it? But they said, no, let's just give it another chance. Let's see what goes on. In came Matt Smith, and the ratings started going higher.
Really?
Yeah. In some cases, people even said there's some Capaldi episodes that have topped the ratings for the others.
Okay.
So, but David Tennant is still one of them, pretty much like the most beloved, if not second most beloved doctor. Who's yours?
Mine is Eccleston. He seemed like the doctor, and once it came to the empty child, like that was his moment.
Are you my mommy?
Every doctor's got that seminal moment that just makes you go, yeah.
That's what you think of.
And that had the most impact for me. For like Smith and Tennant, it was always about the companions, not necessarily the doctor for me. And I never really liked that, and it wasn't really the interaction between the two that really worked well. I mean, Rose and Smith were, it was this big arc, it was this whole thing, it was great, but it wasn't really my thing. And, the Amy Rory thing, it was always Amy Rory.
That's one thing that drove me nuts, though, I gotta admit. Because, Doctor Who had been on for 4 years, because Eccleston did it 1 year, Tennant did it for 3 years, and because it was really starting to launch here in North America, they started doing this little prologue in which the companion Amy Pond started talking about, basically, how she met the Doctor. And
I remember that,
and that pissed me off. It's called Doctor Who. It's not the Amy Pond show. So if any kind of prologue is going on, the Doctor should be the one talking about it, not his companion or sidekick saying, oh, here's what happened to me.
Well, they did something similar with Brendan Gleeson's character in Braveheart at the very beginning. Some will call me a liar, but history is written by those who have hanged heroes. My apologies for anyone out there of a Scottish descent that I butchered the accent.
You idiot.
Please feel free to kill me, Paul.
Oh, it's going to happen, lad. It's fucking well going to happen.
I think we're going to experience some technical difficulties soon.
But I actually thought that was one of the more unique things that they did.
I'm sorry, but I'm still thinking about that Scottish accent you did. Ladies and gentlemen, for future episodes...
Give me a hand.
No. Just for future episodes, Sci-Fi will be replaced by Talking Cabbage. For those of you who are in the sense of old Who, you'll get that joke. But yeah, Eccleston's interesting because just after the first episode aired, in 2005 with Eccleston, somebody leaked out the fact that he was only sticking around for 1 year. Yeah. He didn't want to be typecast, so he only signed on for 1 year. And what they planned on doing was waiting until, an episode or two of the season finale, and then making the announcement. And so it was a big, what the heck, and just everybody went nuts. By the way, fellow Canadians, here's a fact some of you may not know. The 2005 relaunch was a co-production of the BBC and the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. Really? Canada helped fund and bring Doctor Who back to the airwaves.
Canada rocks!
So, yep.
And for those that ever want to complain about CBC being funded by the government, suck it!
Because without them, we wouldn't have Doctor Who. That's why I actually wrote a letter, an email, to BBC one time saying, why isn't there any Canadian content? Sidney Newman was born in Toronto. A Canadian man helped create Doctor Who. Then in the relaunch in 2005, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, the CBC, helps create Doctor Who again. And yet he's never here. We want the Doctor in Toronto. Although a couple of my female friends, they'll love that, so maybe that'd be a bad idea because
we'll never see them again.
Yeah, I just don't want to see in the newspapers, Doctor molested. You read a lot of newspaper reports, Doctor molests. Yeah, our female friends, forget it. The Doctor wouldn't survive. Although now you've got a female Doctor coming in. I'm hoping she kicks ass.
Yeah. Down, boy.
Oh no, I think because here we are talking about the fact that Jodie Whittaker is cast as the first female Doctor. I think it's going to be great. A lot of people getting up in a roar. I think you know what? You always got to watch it to find out what the Doctor's going to be like because it keeps changing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like my first getting into Capaldi for me, it was kind of awkward because he was kind of awkward because him as a doctor and an actor, it seemed like he didn't really know where he was going.
That tends to be the beginning of every season, though, whenever a new guy takes over, because unless it's totally new writers.
Well, Smith and Eccleston just sort of like, bam, that's like, it was one episode, and bam, you got your Doctor. With Capaldi, it took a few episodes to really solidify who he was.
Well, that's just it. I mean, one of the things they talk about is the Doctor regenerating, right? Like I said, when William Hurtnell couldn't do it anymore, and now listen to all the other actors. It's because they've all said, well, I'm only going to do it for a certain period of time, or in Sylvester McCoy's case, in 1989, they turned around and said, you're canceled. And so it was like, okay, great, now what? Now, a lot of respect for Sylvester McCoy, because in 1995, Fox and the BBC decided that they wanted to do a backdoor pilot and made a Doctor Who made-for-TV movie. Sylvester McCoy agreed to appear as the Doctor to get his regeneration scene, so it wouldn't be a whole new relaunch. It would be a continuation. It's just been 6 years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, apparently the episode leaked, and a lot of fans were upset about it. Then there was, I think the Olympics were going on at the time, or something like a big event was going on. So the ratings weren't there, and so BBC and Fox just turned around and said, no. And so BBC waited until, I guess, like 2003, because, it aired in 2005.
Let's be real here. Fox really doesn't have that much in terms of ratings when it comes to TV shows.
They brought us Married with Children, but at the same time they brought us The Simpsons.
And they also screwed over other shows.
Yeah, we won't get into that. You won't take my land or anything. And, hey, you can't complain. None of us are wearing brown coats. Anyhow, so with the Doctor, like I said, William Hurtnell couldn't do it anymore. And so they started doing regenerations. And they actually originally established, it was officially said during the fifth Doctor, Peter Davison's time, because rumor had been flying around about how many Doctors there could be. And at one point he says 12 regenerations, allowing for 13 bodies.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, Hurtnell, Troughton, Pertwee, Baker, Davidson, Baker, McCoy, McGann, Eccleston, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, Peter Davidson, Colin Baker. There was 2 Bakers.
Yeah.
Oh,
You idiot.
the fourth Doctor, like I said, the fourth Doctor was Tom Baker. The sixth Doctor was Colin Baker, no relation. But the cool thing was, Colin Baker actually appeared during Peter Davison's time on the planet Gallifrey. He was a Gallifrey guard. So he jokingly said, I had to murder my predecessor to get the job. So appearing in an earlier Doctor, like a Doctor appearing in an earlier Doctor's time, and then getting hired later, has happened twice. Because Capaldi appeared during David Tennant's time.
Pompeii.
Yeah. And in that Pompeii episode, Amy Pond was one of the witches.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So that was her appearing. Also,
It's hard not to see on like your 7th rewatch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry. Second.
So, but yeah, so with all the regenerations, like I said, we're talking now about Jodie Whittaker, and it was all men. So now it's going to be a woman playing the role, and I wanted to kick ass, because a lot of people are getting all grumpy and bitchy, and it's like, one guy was like, I watched Doctor Who, not Nurse Who. And
oh God!
The guy tweeted that, and the Oxford Dictionary actually responded with "Doctor." In our dictionary, doesn't specify gender. And I was like, yes.
When dictionaries are getting into the fray and slapping down people like this, You know you screwed up.
Well, here's another thing. The fans are called Whovians. It's in the dictionary. Every year, the Oxford Dictionary adds a few new words.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, Whovian got added as a word in the dictionary. So, as you can tell, folks, we get sidetracked a little now and then. That's not just because of the alcohol.
I'm hoping, like, when she regenerates, she's just, like, in front of the mirror. I'm still not a ginger.
Yes. Running joke is that the Doctor wants to be ginger after each regeneration, and it hasn't happened yet. David Tennant's like, am I ginger? No. Oh.
Shit, I remember that, yeah.
And then with Matt Smith, when he's checking out his new body, he checks out his hair. It's still not ginger! I thought that was a great episode. Every Doctor has had something to say about their body part. Eccleston was the ears. When Tennant took the role, new teeth. Matt, the knees, checking everything. Checks his hair like, I'm a girl! Then, nope, no, I'm not. And Capaldi was kidneys. I don't like the color. So with Jodie Whittaker, I'm just waiting for, those are new. That, you know, because it's not out there, memes on there, stuff, you know. Ears, teeth, hair, kidneys, boobs. Like, you know, there's going to be a comment, but I want her to be the kind of Doctor that kicks ass.
Yeah.
You know, the Doctor is the Doctor. Always there, always helping out, not afraid, and fighting for the little guy.
Yeah.
And
even when it's us humans that are causing the crisis. Ooh, look, this extremely trusting species called the Ood. Let's enslave them! I swear, 1 out of every 4 episodes, on average, wouldn't even need to happen if our species wasn't complete assholes.
or humans are assholes? Why didn't anybody tell me?
Because you
You
are
know
one.
who you are. Yeah, okay, I'll give that.
I'll drink to that.
Anyway, now, okay, it's been male doctors from
Day one.
from
Yeah.
day one up until Jodie Whittaker. It's been predominantly female companions. I mean, what are the odds we're going to see a primary male companion with?
That's it. There have been male companions in the past.
Well, yeah, Rory, Mickey.
No, like even back in Old Who. When the Doctor was trapped on Earth, when he went from the second Doctor to the third Doctor, it was forced on him.
Okay.
And they took away his ability to travel through time and space. And so he was the scientific advisor for a United Nations Intelligence Task Force, which they've now changed their name because the United Nations said, it's a sci-fi thing, we're a reality thing, just keep us out of it. And BBC said, okay. So he was their scientific advisor. And what ended up happening is, of course, he's dealing with military. One of the most beloved companions of all time was a guy called the Brigadier.
Okay.
He was tough as nails, not afraid to go out there and fight, but got along great with the Doctor. At one point, when the Doctor's regenerating into the fourth one, and they mention him, it's like, do you know who the Doctor is? Nice chap. Both of them. Because he had dealt with other Doctors before. He was part of that whole change. John Pertwee, the third Doctor, most of his time was spent on Earth. It was only like his last few episodes that he actually got his ability to travel through time and space. And that was because of an anniversary special. I think it was a 10-year anniversary called The Three Doctors, in which all 3 Doctors interacted with each other. And you know the scene how David Tennant, when he sees the TARDIS, he's like, you redecorated. I don't like it. That gag was used in The Three Doctors back in the 60s.
Oh, yeah?
When all 3 got together, the second Doctor walks into the third Doctor's TARDIS and goes, oh, you've redecorated. Oh, I don't like it. So the male companions, the second Doctor had a Scottish warrior with him as well. When they felt that maybe another man of action was needed, one of the sergeants became the guy who was ready to rough and tumble with them and all that stuff. So a male companion's not uncommon. They usually, because it's been a male Doctor, had a female Doctor, or a female companion, sorry. So, and then of course Rory and Mickey.
Yeah.
Mickey the idiot. Yeah.
It kind of doesn't count as a companion in my eyes.
Yeah, he did sort of just tag along
For a
from
couple of
point A
episodes,
to point parallel universe.
it's going to be one of those things that's going to be debated for centuries. You know, it's going to be 3017, and people going, Mickey was a freaking companion. He traveled through time and space. He was in. Good. All right, that's enough. So me, you know what? I'm giving that. He was on the show a lot. He did travel through time and space. I'll call him a companion. Why not?
All right.
All right. Okay, fine. Argument solved. So, but yeah, so you know, having
dice.
yeah, I hope it's a male companion because even though I've got no problems with it, people in general are stupid. They're already bitching about the Doctor being female. A female Doctor and a female companion traveling together?
Oh, I can imagine the porno jokes now.
Exactly. They've dropped in little jokes here and there. The companion Clara, she made a comment about Jane Austen being a great kisser. You know, but they've also established that the Doctor can change gender before.
Yeah.
During the fourth Doctor's tenure, they were in an area called East Space, and they met this woman called Princess Astra. And at the time it was Doctor and a female Time Lord, a Time Lady, called Romana. Mary Tam was Romana, and she decided she didn't want to come back next year. So the actress, Layla Ward, who played Princess Astra, was Romana the next year.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes out as herself, and the Doctor's like, what are you doing? I decided it was time for regeneration. I like this. Well, you can't be her. That's Princess Astra. Da 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 da. All right, fine. Walks into another room, comes out, blue alien. Goes back. No. That's just ridiculous. Goes out, comes out. Another look. A very like hoity-toity, princessy, snobbery kind of. No, get back. Comes back in a third outfit. No, I don't like that either. Comes back dressed exactly as the Doctor, but it's Layla Ward. And he's like, looks at everyone and goes, okay, that's fine and last stuff. So, the fact that a Time Lord, when they regenerate, can change things around of their own free will was long established.
Except make themselves a ginger.
True. They're having troubles with that. And then with New Who, you saw that one of the Gallifreyan generals went from being a man to a woman. In The Doctor's Wife, the Corsair is mentioned.
Yeah.
You know, great time, except for when he was a woman. But so the fact that switching
and the horse.
Oh, his name is Sarah.
Susan.
I expect you to respect his life choice. So yeah, all that stuff's been established. Companions have been around, and so for many, there have been so many great companions. One of the most popular and loved one, her name was Sarah Jane Smith. So popular in Old Who that during the second season and David Tennant's first season, they brought her back in the episode Reunion.
Yeah.
And
that was a good one.
It was. Funny little side note: when they had built Canine, another sidekick he had, a robotic dog. What happened was that in the 70s and 80s, a whole bunch of problems. Because technology for remote controlled device, ran into problems. So when they rebuilt Canine for 2006, and it looked exactly the same, and Elizabeth Sladen, who played Sarah Jane, was like, oh, I'll tell you, the problems we had with Canine back in those days, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened. And of course, well, the tech guys are going, oh, well, that was like, a long time ago. It's like 30 years, we've got everything fixed and all that stuff. Pretty much almost every exact same problem happened again. And she's just sitting there going, yeah, okay, like I'm some old bat who doesn't know what's going on. Screw you guys, I've gone through this, So, but the character was so well loved that her appearance on New Who garnered such high ratings, she got a spin-off show, The Sarah Jane Adventures. So it's like,
I've been meaning to get into that.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, I haven't gotten into it yet. I mean, I was going to get into it, and then Elizabeth Sladen died, and I was just like, I don't know, I want to, but I'll miss her, and...
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Brigadier that I mentioned, even though he never appeared in New Who, before Nicholas, I'm so bad, I've forgotten his last name. Mr. Lookup, who played the Brigadier? It was Nicholas, I know that much.
Nicholas Courtney.
There we go. All right. Sig, you might have to do some work on the editing here. Anyhow, so Nicholas Courtney played the Brigadier, and he was so well beloved that he appeared in the Sarah Jane Adventures, so he was still part of the New Who universe. When he died, Matt Smith's doctor called him up to say, I want to be with you, and in tribute to him, they said the Brigadier had passed away. His character got to die and got an acknowledgement on the show.
Oh, wow.
Because of the actor's involvement in love and participation.
Nice.
Nicholas Courtney was the Brigadier back in the black and white days. That's how long he'd been associated with it.
Yeah. Third Doctor I'm seeing on here.
Started off with the Third Doctor and then the Fourth Doctor, and that's where the whole comment of, nice chap, both of them. But he did spend some time with the Second Doctor because that's how he was able to become the scientific advisor during the Third Doctor's time.
Yeah.
So, because they'd met each other because of an alien invasion. Again!
Which one?
Well, that's one of the funny things when they introduced the character of Donna Tate. Or sorry,
Oh, yeah.
Donna,
Yeah.
played by Catherine Tate.
Donna Noble.
Yes, Donna Noble. The funniest part is that when they introduced the character, well, every Christmas episode involved some kind of alien invasion at this point. It's like, well, were you there for this? Oh, I was at my friend's place at that time. I was out of the city. I was vacationing here. All these things keep happening. She's like, what are you talking about? Even the numerous times.
I love that part of it, though.
Yeah, the numerous times the alien invasion takes place, and she's like, on the show, character on the show. It's been 4 years of we've seen all these invasions. She's just like, aliens? No, aliens don't exist. So, but yeah, so that's the Doctor.
And then she's right there in the middle of it for the adipose.
Yes, I would love to get that pill. Send me an episode. That's one of the great things. The bad guy in the episode starring the adipose. There's no bad guy. It's little globs of fat, 1 kilogram of fat that leaves you every night at the same time.
There's no bad guys. There's just one person that made bad decisions.
Yes.
Because of this, and the whole process for it is perfectly fine. Everyone's winning out of it.
Well, except for the one person that gets completely turned into these little fat gremlins.
Well, yes, just because she's a greedy little bitch. Well, the caretaker.
Yes.
Yeah, the nanny
Yeah.
is a greedy little bitch.
And then she got dropped from...
No, it's accidental, right? Because it's accidental because Donna was the one that that turned on you.
Now, we've talked about the Doctor. We've talked about the history. We've talked about the regenerations. We've talked about companions. No discussion of companions would ever be complete if we did not talk about the feels. When the Doctor and Rose against the wall. I'm sorry if you're crying, but I know you'd kick my ass if we didn't say anything about it. That was, I admit, the first time I watched it, I'm sitting there going, and then when she ends up in Bad Wolf Bay, on the alternate Earth, and I love you. Oh, what the hell. Rose Tyler, and then gone. I think everybody who watches that, if they're not crying, is when it first happened, was going, no! No! Like we're talking total Darth Vader, no! Had to, how could you not let him say it?
So that's 14.
You ever think, there we go. The Nuvian was sitting there going, you have to, you have to. Did you actually yell at your screen?
I did.
Good, yeah. That's two of us. The old team, there we go. Old Nuvian, Nuvian, we still have the same reaction. You did too, didn't you? Or did you just cry like a bitch?
All 14 times I'm rewatching it.
Yeah. But like I said, we've talked about the Doctor, we've talked about his companions, we've talked about his regenerations, we talked about the new regeneration and the effects of a female Doctor. There's only one character left we haven't talked about. The TARDIS herself. The TARDIS is that big blue box that takes the Doctor through time and space. It was modeled after police boxes that were used around in London at the time, where the cops would have road flares. They would have the redirections, detour signs, and things like that. There's also a phone built into it, so because this is before 911 or something like that. Because in Britain, for example, you call 999 instead of 911. So they had a phone in there. That way, if there's trouble in the air or something like that, you could open it up, grab the phone, and the cops would answer it for you. Before operators as well. And the Doctor basically decided that Time Lords had this prime directive, no interference, and traveled around in their TARDISes to check out events in history. And they had what was called a chameleon circuit, which allowed it to, just before materializing, scope out the environment blend in.
Well, hold on. Then how did it wind up as the blue police box in frickin' Pompeii?
Because it was broken.
Ah.
The Time Lords brought it back to Gallifrey, and the Doctor's like, well, I can't do this whole Prime Directive shit, and stole it.
No. She stole him.
That's true.
Yes,
And
she
so
did choose him.
That's why
Stole him.
it stuck as the police box. During John Pertwee's, he was trying to fix it and never could. Other Doctors, it did get fixed at one point, but then it burnt out. The circuit burnt out, and the Doctor's just like, well, I've gotten used to it anyhow. What the hell? And that's why it stayed. And it's become the iconic figure. You see it on glasses. You know, my love of Doctor Who. I got it tattooed on my arm. And the TARDIS, which stands for Time and Relative Dimensions in Space. At one point in an episode called The Doctor's Wife, they took the essence of the TARDIS and put it into a woman, and it was just amazingly done. You can actually see the interaction between the Doctor, because the Doctor has had some smacking the console, moved it, you know, stuff like that. He's changed things, the look around and stuff. But that center column, the time rotor that goes up and down, you can make all the jokes you want right now, folks. And at least something round on the wall. Oh, the round things. I miss the round things. What did they do? I got no idea.
Yeah.
Those
I gotta say,
it was really well put together to actually get something out of like an actual interaction between the Doctor and his TARDIS.
I had honestly wanted to see it continue on a little after that. Like, even if they just put some Bumblebee-like voice synthesizer
or a
in it.
two-parter where the second episode was where the voice of the TARDIS was lingering out, so that by the end of the episode it'd fade.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they sort of did that with the holograms, and that
The voice interactives, yeah.
with what Smith needed.
So when the different companions started appearing because he was...
Yeah, he needed...
Spoilers!
He
Thought he was dying.
Yeah, he needed what he needed, and the TARDIS knew what he needed.
I just like the, no, that's guilt! I didn't want to feel guilty! It's my last moments, give me a break! Little side note on the Companions Factor. Karen Gillan playing Amy Pond. The young Amy Pond got hired for the job. Turned out to be Karen Gillan's cousin.
Oh, wow.
But they both didn't know that the other had been hired for the part.
Wonder how long that went on.
Well, I don't know, but I'll tell you this much. I'm not going to go on with Doctor Who trivia because otherwise this would be a 3-hour episode. But we've talked about the Doctor, we've talked about the TARDIS, we've talked about the Companions, we've talked about the regenerations. Next, the bad guys. The Daleks, the Master, the Weeping Angels.
Oh, God, those things.
Asking, are you my mommy?
Hey, who turned out the lights?
Josh, about that crack in your wall?
Oh yeah, it's been there for years. I've had a few people paint over it. I don't know what's happening with it. Sorry, yeah, it's distracting.
Silurians, Draconians. There is a plethora of great Doctor Who villains, and we'll talk about them next time. So until we bring you Doctor Who 2, thanks for your review. We love you. LOC!
Peace among worlds.
I lost.
Fuck! Hey everybody out there in Fandom Land, if you're having fun with the Gassed Up Geeks, follow us online. We're everywhere. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and we're on Instagram. Cheers!